Good morning, Jack. So today I'd like to talk about Ayurvedic medicine. In Ayurvedic medicine, there are three constitutions. There's Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. Just as in Western science, there's ectomorph, mesomorph, and endomorph. See the comparison? They're different in a sense, but they're kind of the same build. So Vata governs everything. It's the air, it's the wind. It's the vital essence of life. So my constitution's a Vata. So Ayurvedic medicine's been studied for about 4,500 years, give or take a few hundred years. There are clinics around the world. There's a teaching center in Iowa, in farm country. I don't remember the name of the teaching center. This inspiration for this video just came to me about 20 seconds ago. So with Vata, and you typically eat based on the seasons. Might sound strange for some people, but it's worked for a long time for a lot of people. There's I don't know if it still exists, but there is an actual Ayurvedic clinic in Kauai. And there's a cookbook I have, an award-winning Nautilus cookbook. And it's delicious recipes, but it's based on the different constitutions, the different doshas, they call them. And there was a gentleman in there that helped write the book, and his medical doctor and the chef wrote the book together. So he was really sick, and he had all kinds of, he had arthritis. I think he was in his early 30s. He had arthritis, all kinds of issues. He was a little overweight. It got to the point where he was wheelchair bound. He couldn't really walk. So he tried all the different doctors, and after 4 or 5 years, he was pretty close to being bedridden. And so what he did is he found out about this clinic in Kauai. And again, I don't know if it still exists, but within, I think it was 7 or 8 weeks, he was walking again. And I think he now lives in Kauai. But he wrote this award-winning book, and the diet and the lifestyle and everything. They did some breathing techniques. They did diet, and he totally transformed his life. So typically when you're irritated or agitated, stressed, looking for direction, typically, and not finding it, typically you're imbalanced with your constitution, your dosha. Just like when you go into an environment that's very dry, it's hard for certain animals to live. Just like when you go into a certain environment where it rains all the time, it's hard for certain plants. Even though they grow, you typically won't find cactuses and different plants growing in those environments. They're just not the right environment for them, right? That's a more simplistic way of looking at it. But with Vatas, we're typically lean, like myself. Lean, dry, typically like to use our mind. Could be artistic, could be a teacher, could be a practitioner, a doctor. Pittas are really kind of easily gain muscle, right? They're also hot-tempered, easily hot-tempered. Kaphas are people that are typically can be overweight very easily. If they eat a little bit too much, they can be overweight, and they have a hard time. If they sit a lot, they get really tired, right? It's hard for them to get out of what they're doing. They get comfortable in their uncomfortableness, so to speak. So in Ayurveda, the knowledge or science of life is what it translates to. We learn about the characteristics of each constitution, what they should eat, how they should exercise. Vata shouldn't over-exercise. So this is the Vata time of the year. It's basically, there's a lot of different, little bit different translations in terms of what time of the year. They're about a month or so off. Some of them starts in October, some start in November for Vata. So let's say, for example, November 20th all the way to March 20th is Vata. So there's three doshas. There's 4 months per dosha. But you typically eat for the season, what type of season it is. So right now, most people should be eating for Vata. Just depends on where you're at, but Vata meaning right now you'd be eating like soups and stews, lots of water, not over exercising. Just like in nature, you don't see animals when they need to hibernate or they need to relax in the winter to save on energy because they're not eating much. There's not much to eat. You're supposed to relax more, right? You're supposed to calm down. This would be a great time for, if you're religious, to do a lot of prayer work. If you're religious and or spiritual, you do some meditation work, some yoga, light exercise, just some walking. You wouldn't want to be, trying to run a marathon, not marathon, but running like 5-10 miles a day. Obviously, if you're a runner, that's your thing. That's what you want to do. But to have self-love, self-control, self-integrity, when you learn these things, then it helps you provide more discipline. And it's one of the easiest ancient medicines that I've learned to create balance. So again, vata, soup, stew, water. You could do like aloe vera, things that are slippery and things that are watery in nature. And then you would have pitta. Pitta would be like the summertime, late spring, early summer, all the way to early fall. And those people don't want to eat a lot. They don't do well with spicy foods or a lot of warm foods. They just get hot easily, right? I'm not talking about if you're sick or imbalanced, majorly imbalanced. I'm talking about normally. Since you were a child, you've known these things. And then kapha would be eating more. Kapha is like the springtime, early spring till summertime. And kapha would be eating lower calorie foods, leaner foods, because they typically tend to be heavier set, right? And lots of sweet foods would imbalance them. They'll gain weight, they may feel tired, may feel sluggish. They need more exercise than most people, not because they're overweight, because that's their constitution, or they're prone to be overweight, but that's their constitution. So vata, pitta, kapha. There's different exercises for each one, different types of food. Vatas eat sweet, salty, and sour, especially this time of the year. Pittas would eat astringent, bitter, and sweet foods. And then you would have kapha that eats bitter, pungent, and things like that. Not a lot of sweet foods. So that's kind of a basis for the different constitutions, different doshas. In the West, this sounds strange to us, but it's been used. And there's some similarities in Chinese medicine. There's thermal natures. There's a warming and cooling, right? It's even more simplistic, but it's Chinese medicine, unless you've studied it quite often, it seems a little complex. So Ayurveda is a little bit easier to understand. So again, that's where yoga comes from, and that's when some of the oldest scripture comes from. So that's a little bit about Ayurvedic, Jack, and I hope you have a blessed day, and don't burn the candle at both ends. Be kind to yourself, be loving, find peace in your life if that's what you're searching for, and get in your heart and out of your mind more often. Have a miracle day. Bye now.